gotta backtrack. And you should've kept my name out your mouth. As we go, how it all turned out. When you try to use my name for clout, keep on going, give me something you could talk about.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing this fine Wednesday, November 19th? I've had a busy day today. I did some recording for BJ Investigates. I have a whole entire Roblox investigation coming out on BJ Investigates. Today, I have two topics to talk to y'all about broadly. The first topic is going to be the, well, I don't know what order I'm going to go in yet. I think I'm going to do Milagro first. But the two topics are going to be David case updates and the Milagro Cooper, Megan Thee Stallion Pete versus Milagro Cooper, aka Milagro Grams. Hold on, I'm trying to adjust this. Okay. So yeah, and then after Roblox, I think I'm going to do a Discord one, which is going to relate a little bit more to the extremist groups. But anyway, it's like an hour long, just the recording. There's going to be clips. There's going to be all kinds of things going on. Oh yeah, I have a cupcake barrette. Oh yeah, my camera is like, yeah, anyway. Okay, so today is day 3 of the Megan the Stallion, Pete, Megan, Pete, the Stallion, whatever, trial against Milagro Cooper, aka Milagro Grams. Now, this morning there was some things, it's day 3, like I said, some things were getting read out loud from DJ Academics deposition. Now, there was some speculation early on whether DJ Academics was going to be called in the trial to testify, and it appeared like maybe he was thinking like maybe he was going to do that. But then apparently, allegedly, something ended up happening where on like the first or second day of the trial, he decided he wasn't doing that because he had heard that when Aiden Ross, who's another streamer, showed up for his deposition, they like subpoenaed him for his phone records right there on the spot. And DJ Academics, understandably, was like, no, I'm not going to voluntarily, willingly go around these people. They might serve me something crazy on the spot. No, we're not doing that. Ugh. You know, good news, bad news. Good news, my little baby hairs are growing back. Bad news, they do not know how to act. Oh my God. It's like 7 cowlicks right there on the front of my head. Anyway, if you know, you know. Put a 1 in the chat if you know the struggle. I need to get like one of them little toothbrushes, but then that kind of like defeats the purpose. The more you mess with little baby hairs, I really need to stop. The more they fall out. Okay, so really, them little toothbrushes and stuff, sometimes it's not that good for you. Anyway, okay, so you're like, yes, we know. We get it. Even guys are saying it. Okay. Anyway, okay. So today is day 3. The last coverage I did on this particular issue was a couple days ago. It was on day 1. So I thought what we could do is take this opportunity here to cover the rest of day 1 plus day 2, which was yesterday, and then whatever we have from today, which is day 3, and probably only going to end up being halfway through it. The second topic we're going to cover is the David topic. There are less. I guess I'll just cover him first, actually, because like that's shorter. That's shorter anyway, I guess. But no, I don't want to. Because I know why I decided. I just remembered why I decided to do David second, because I think some news is going to come out. I don't have any inside sources or anything, but like just based on what's been being reported the last day or two, I think there's going to be some news come out like today about the cause of death and stuff. So I want that all to be together on the video. Okay, that's why. Plus it's like less quantity wise, like substantive for the video. So I want to start the Milagro thing, but yeah, the David situation is escalating. Finally, there are law enforcement sources that are reporting to not only TMZ this time, but like to multiple different outlets, I believe ABC, NBC, that yes, David is maybe not officially named as a suspect, certainly hasn't been arrested, certainly hasn't been filed paperwork on or anything like that, hadn't been indicted, innocent until proven guilty, all that. He hasn't been picked up. He hasn't been even officially in the paperwork named, but there's 3 or 4 different sources, maybe even now People Magazine, reporting reporting that, excuse me, that David is being investigated as a suspect. He's not cooperating, allegedly, according to these reports, with the police. And one of the reports says he was never cooperating, even despite what his manager tried to say earlier in the case. So we'll get into that a little bit later today as well. Right. Shout out to Rando from Iowa being a member for 25 months. The hair struggle is real. You look fab, though. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's start again with the Milagro trial. So, I did want to let y'all know that on the first day that I covered this trial, I was pretty much relying exclusively on Megan Cuniff, who is a pop culture and media journalist. She covers court cases specifically. She goes out there and goes to the court dates and goes to the court cases and all that. I would like to announce as well, now there's more people that have been brought to my attention who are at the trial, including familiar name to this channel if you followed my Diddy trial coverage, Armand Wiggins. Also another content creator, Donat, and who also was at the Diddy trial, but kind of like escaped my radar a little bit. And but was there as well, also covered, I believe, the Cardi B trial. Definitely, I think the if I recall correctly, the Lil Nas X hearing. So there's like a few people who do, and very thankfully go and follow the trial. There's another YouTuber, content creator, and lawyer who's in the courtroom, I believe, too. Yes, her online social media YouTube name is Pam Pam Esquire, basically, but Pam ESQ. I'm going to show y'all all this stuff too. I'll show y'all, where this information came from, but I just want to shout out to them right now. The Law Intellect. Now, again, I did make this kind of like announcement and disclaimer at the beginning of my last video, but just want to say, if anybody is new here, I personally do not like to go to these court dates. I will go to them. I do go to them. I'm not going to this one. It's just not like the timing of the year and stuff. It's just like right around Thanksgiving, so I just can't go. But like I did go to the last few days of the Diddy trial or the last day of the Diddy trial jury deliberation, and I was in there whenever the verdict was read. I was in the room. If you do follow this channel, you know that was a traumatic experience and my constitutional rights were violated. And I don't believe that the federal marshals really did quite enough to protect me. And it's just like, if you can't even go to a federal courthouse, like I just want to stay in my house. Okay. So that being said, I just want to say, and shout out to anybody, truly anybody. I don't care. I really don't care if you're a plant. Like at some point, like it does take a lot of energy just to be in these situations and be in these courtrooms, especially for days on end. It does sound like it is a little bit less crazy and chaotic than the Diddy trial was, because this is in Florida, Miami, I believe, and all that. But anyway, so there's more people at the trial now. And just like in the Diddy trial coverage, and that was really my first trial I covered, just like in the Diddy trial coverage, I like to get information from everywhere, because even if one or all of the sources are lying, at that very least, the more sources you have, the more you can compare the different stories, and you can decide what you think went on. Now, of course, the best thing would be if these court hearings were live streamed, but as you know, they are not. So then what are you going to do? So I do want to start with Megan Cuniff. She wrote an article about the first day. And again, I'm going to go in order of like where we left off last time. So we're going to start like with the first day, recap by reading her article. She also wrote an article for day 2. We're going to start on day 1, and then we'll hit up her tweets too, because we stopped reading. Remember, I had a hard cutoff. Guess what the hard cutoff was? I needed to get my nails done. I know y'all saw my nail beds had grown out. I was about to say my roots. Tufstino. My cousin Tufstino ruined it. Everything's check the roots now. It's like the roots of my nails. No, that's not it. Anyway, so yeah, I got them redone. I always get the same nails. I always get the same ones. It's pink and white ombre, and it's got the little crystals on the one nail. So I always get the same nails. I just like them the most. Sometimes they're shorter and sometimes they're longer, but you know how it is. You just sit in the chair and you get what you get. Okay, so Hide and Creep was like, I wouldn't be jumping back to go to a courtroom. Yeah, and I believe that was their point. Like they had their little group that went to the courthouse, and they don't want me or anybody else to come back. And I will say, there was a content creator who did express similar treatment. I'll say that. There was at least one content creator, maybe more than one, that expressed similar treatment. A lot of y'all have been asking what this is. If you watch my vlog channel, you would know. Okay, so I don't know if it's acrylic or not, girl, really. It's like powder. They dip it in the powder and then they paint it on. Yeah, it's probably acrylic. I don't know. It's probably straight poison into my bloodstream, but I'm immune to that. I'm immune to that. Okay, so let's start with the first article from the first day. And again, I know some of y'all have your own feelings about some of the characters, some of the people I'm going to be mentioning here, including but not limited to Megan Cuniff. However, I'm going to say shout out to Megan Cuniff for going to court, for making any of this information available to us. You're welcome to take with a grain of salt. You're welcome to believe none of what I read from her. I certainly don't know. I wasn't there. Yeah, it's acrylic. Yes, it's acrylic. I guess. I mean, I don't know, but they saying it is. So, yes, you have acrylic and you shouldn't have to settle for what you get. Find a good nail artist that you trust. I do. But sometimes I wait like 6-8 weeks between appointments. So she's really doing her best. Sometimes you just can't save, you can't save what's going on. And half the time too, it's my fault. Half the time it truly is my fault, because it's like, I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, she'll like show it to me and I'm like, oh yeah, that looks good. But like, really it's not. Or I'll be like, cut it shorter, and really she had it right the first time. So this is actually my second nail lady since I've been living in Princeton. I like her a lot. I would actually recommend her. I need to leave her a Google review. She asks me every time and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do it. And then I don't. Okay. Anyway. And so here we are on the first article. And again, y'all, now we do have several other different sources. So I'm going to be compiling, especially on the day 2 coverage, I'm going to be compiling the stuff I heard from all the different sources and letting y'all know to my memory what different things were said and what same things were said. Okay, so this is from the day 1, which was Monday. Streamer being sued by Meg Thee Stallion testifies as first witness in defamation trial. Milagro Cooper will continue testifying on Tuesday. That was, again, this is written Monday, so we're just recapping from my last coverage on this. She'll continue testifying yesterday at the federal courthouse in Miami. Megan is also expected to testify. This was November 17th. So this was the first day. This is Meg Thee Stallion on the first day. She's wearing that houndstooth tiger bait. It's like involuntary reaction whenever somebody who graduated from LSU sees houndstooth. If you know, you know. Shout out to the Alabama cousins in the chat. I know we're all cousins, but I mean, isn't it fun to have a football rivalry? Okay, anyway, so the article goes on. An online commentator testified Monday that she intentionally directed her followers to a digitally altered explicit video of rapper Meg Thee Stallion because the video was public and her followers were asking about it. Quote, unfortunately, S tapes are something of public interest. It came up. So this is supposedly a quote from Milagro from her testimony. Unfortunately, S tapes are something of the public interest. It came up and I spoke about it. She testified as the first witness in the federal court trial that accuses her of coordinating with rapper Tory Lanez, aka Daystar Peterson, who is currently serving time in prison for shooting Pew Pew Meg Thee Stallion in a 2020 incident. Milagro's lawyer said in her opening statement that Milagro is an online influencer known as Milagro Grams. She didn't publicize or share the video on her social media. Now, I just want to put a little pin in this right here. This, she didn't publicize or share. I personally believe this is just, armchair quarterbacking, we can say. Early on in the trial, I haven't even heard a single peep of what Meg Thee Stallion supposedly testified, if she even testified yet. Okay, so this is just me speculating from somebody sitting, across the country in my house. But I believe this is going to end up being the most important question of the trial, this right here. Whether or not, I believe this is going to be the foundational, fundamental, most important issue of the whole case, but what do I know? This is my opinion, it's my speculation. Whether or not Milagro publicized or promoted the deep fake video. Okay, I think that's going to end up being the most important question. Another important question is going to be her state of mind. Did she believe it was AI? Did she know it was AI? Did she have reason to believe it was AI, et cetera, et cetera? But I think whether she published it, publicized it, promoted it, I think is what the statute requires. Did she promote it? I think that's going to be the most important question. So the article says that Milagro's lawyer, she did her opening statement and she said Milagro did not publicize or share the video as under the law. Now, of course, Megan Thee Stallion's lawyer is saying, oh, yes, she did. And that's going to be up to the jury to decide, did she not? This is a key claim. This is key to Meg Thee Stallion's claim that Milagro knowingly shared a digitally altered visual depiction of Megan. There are two other claims, and those are defamation and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Now, pretty much anytime I've ever seen anybody get sued over this intentional infliction of emotional distress or negligent infliction of emotional distress, they almost never win. And defamation cases are almost never successful either. So, especially when it's against a public figure. So, what I'll say is, I'm not the jury. I'm not there. Certainly anything's possible. But in my education and in my reading of a bunch of cases, I don't think I've ever seen, except maybe in the actual law textbooks that I studied in law school, anybody ever win on intentional infliction of emotional distress. It's going to be, I believe, statutorily in a lot of states for sure. It's not even possible. You can't even, if you don't get a defamation claim, then you cannot get intentional infliction of emotional distress off the base things that were not actionable at as defamation. So I don't know if that's the case in Florida. I didn't bother to look it up, and I probably won't. But I think the only claim that really has, I'll say this, I don't think that claim's getting off the launching pad. Okay. I just don't think intentional infliction of emotional distress is gonna be found here. Defamation, I also don't really think is going to be found here. I read through a lot of the depositions in this Milagro case. I've been following it on and off for a few months, at least since maybe this summer. And certainly I'm not the most acquainted with it. I don't pretend to be. I don't purport to be. There's other lawyers even who, and again, y'all, I'm not licensed to practice law. I gave my license back so I could do what I wanted to do over here on the internet. But there's other lawyers who know more about this case who are on it. There's journalists. I'm not purporting to be a journalist, although media and journalist is different and press and journalist is different. So make sure you put that in the footnote. And yeah, I got distracted by something over here. So for me, in my opinion, I think the strongest case, from what I can see, with all that context and all those disclaimers, and it's all my opinion, from what I can see, I think the strongest standing argument right now is that publishing or promoting a deep fake AI generated pornographic whatever. I think that's the strongest and most likely to become liable or whatever. But I just don't think that intentional infliction of emotional distress one's going to get far off the ground. I'll just say that. But I don't know, truly, and that's really the truth. I have no idea, and I have no way. There's no way I could. Not even the jury. No one knows. Okay, so jurors later. Okay, so again, the three claims are defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress. That's another claim. And the sharing of the digitally altered depiction of Megan Thee Stallion. Now, what Milagro allegedly did was that she liked a post on Twitter that had a link in the post. And the link, if you click the post, would lead you to a corn website where you could see this digitally altered image. Now, Milagro is not accused of making the image, so it does beg the question, why didn't Meg Thee Stallion sue the people who made the video? If she was going to sue somebody who simply heart reacted the video and then later told her audience, if you simply must know what we're talking about, you can go look at my likes. But it's probably fake, or it's probably a setup, or whatever she said. Yeah, and people are kind of getting into Meg is saying, don't they have to prove that Milagro knew it was a lie and only said it to inflict pain? No, not exactly. But I think what you're getting at is the defamation, unless this is the intentional infliction of emotional distress analysis, which I don't know as handily. But the defamation, you have to prove, Meg Thee Stallion would have to prove that Milagro either for sure knew first of all, that something she said was a statement of fact. And the statement of fact was false, provably and demonstrably false. And that Milagro knew or had serious reason to know, reckless disregard for the truth, that it was false and said it anyway. As far as the purpose, defamation claims in federal court, from what I understand, at least like in the New Jersey circuits up here, you don't really have to have said the defamatory thing to inflict pain. And and you can say something for the purpose of inflicting pain. However, if you do not you could say something for the purpose of inflicting pain and embarrassing somebody, but if it's true, it don't matter. That's not defamation. So, yeah. Anyway, so let's get back to Megan Cuniff article. Okay. So there's 3 claims: defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and then the sharing, the digitally altered, whatever. Allegedly, right? This is all in trial right now. Jurors later heard audio clips of Milagro telling her followers that she'd liked the video and posted and said, "Go to my likes." The jury also heard Milagro question in her live stream, the recording of it, whether the video was real. She said, "This has got to be AI." The jury consists of 5 men and 4 women, saw the obscene video during Meg Thee Stallion's lawyer's 20-minute opening statement. Before she played the video, the lawyer said she wanted to acknowledge how disturbing it was. Quote, "Imagine having to sit in court and watch this play for a room full of strangers. That's what we are asking Megan to do today. But you need to see it to understand what Milagro Cooper promoted." That was Megan leaving court in her little other mother houndstooth suit. Approximately 45-second video included commentary from Milagro as she played the pornographic video for her viewers on live stream. Watch how this post jump. I just liked it and I tweeted, "Go to my likes." So this is the first time in Megan Cuniff's article right now, live on air right now, is the first time I'm ever learning that allegedly, according to this article, that Milagro played the pornographic video for her live stream. Is that true? I have not seen this allegation, excuse me, be made anywhere else. I don't know if this is true. Okay. Anyway, the lawyer went on, "I apologize to everyone in this courtroom having to see that, especially to Megan, but Milagro Cooper made the choice to promote it." Megan's lawyer began her opening by playing the audio of the pew pew shots that Daystar Peterson fired at Meg Thee Stallion July 12, 2020. The lawyer told jurors that Tory Lanez was convicted in December 2022, and the California Court of Appeal affirmed his convictions last week. She played an excerpt of Milagro discussing Megan Thee Stallion, and it begins, quote, "At the end of the day, a beep lying on somebody is low down. So believe what the beep you want to believe." Milagro in the clip goes on to say she wants to slap Megan Thee Stallion. The lawyer said in the opening statement for Meg Thee Stallion's side, quote, "This case is about someone who wasn't there that night. The defendant Milagro Cooper. She didn't see the fear or the anything or the pew pew, but she saw something else. Her shot, no pun intended, at the spotlight. This case is about what Milagro Cooper did with her shot at the spotlight. Meg's lawyer said jurors will learn how she, meaning Milagro, turned attacking Megan into her brand, how she coordinated with Tory Lanez and his team, and how Milagro built her platform by tearing Megan down. She said the case is not about whether Tory pew-pewed Megan. That has already been decided. He did. Okay, this is her quote. Okay, this is what she's saying. And the jury did determine that he did. That is what the jury legally determined. And until or unless it's overturned on appeal, that is legally the truth. That is legally what was determined. She goes on, this is still Meg the Stallion's lawyer, quote, "This case is about Milagro Cooper's continued effort to undo what's already been done, to free Tory." Now, this is very confusing to me because what is the case really about? It seems to me the case is about Megan is mad or somebody's mad that Milagro just don't believe Megan and called her a liar. I mean, I've been sued for calling somebody a liar before, and, we're still saying somebody lied when they did. So, I mean, maybe people just get mad to be accused of lying. But I thought this case was about whether or not Milagro said that Megan was a liar and whether or not she did intentional infliction of emotional distress and or whether she defamed, whether she shared a corn, whatever. And here you got Megan's lawyer throwing in something totally different. Like, why are they bringing Tory Lanez up in this case at all? I do understand them. Listen, I will say from their perspective, I understand them bringing him up for some reasons. Like, for example, Milagro was working for Tory or as his mouthpiece. Like, I don't believe that she was truly. I don't, but I can understand like that being an argument presented in court. This right here made no sense. In the opening statement, this case is about Milagro trying to free Tory. There's like true stuff she could have said, or I don't know. I don't think that's what the case is about. There's more, I think, convincing and believable stuff that Marie could have said. But they got this poor girl spread real thin. So who knows what's going on in her mind up there. Now, the first thing Milagro's lawyer, Natasha Bienami, told the jurors in her opening. So then Milagro's lawyer gets her turn to stand up and say something. In the opening statements, she said, quote, "Yes, Megan Pete was blank." But she said whether Tory did it or not, that case, that tragedy that happened in California, the plaintiff, so this is Milagro's lawyer talking about Megan. Milagro's lawyer said, "Megan the Stallion desperately wants to drive a California criminal trial across the country to replay it for you here in Miami, Florida." The lawyer went on, "They want to talk about this criminal trial because there's emotion. It creates a distraction. Because that's what they're trying to do. Because they cannot prove this conspiracy that they're trying to pin on my client, Milagro Grams Cooper. Despite how vulgar it is, despite how colorful it may be, despite how much profanity she uses, that's not a conspiracy. And that's what they're trying to prove. That's what they have to prove." Milagro's lawyer went on and said, "Going to see something happen." Okay. Jurors, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you are going to see something happening throughout the entirety of this trial. It's going to be deliberate from Megan Thee Stallion's side. They are going to try to distract you. They're going to try and elicit sympathy from you. They're going to try to talk about trauma. They're going to try to talk about Megan's emotions. Milagro's lawyer said, Megan is allowed to feel anything she wants to feel. We're not saying she's not allowed to feel. But this courtroom is not saying she's not allowed to feel. But tears are not proof, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Milagro's lawyer went on. She said and emphasized that Milagro did not publish the altered video of Megan. She didn't know about it until her followers alerted her to it. She said Milagro's job is literally to comment on things that her audience and reviewers want her to comment on. Frankly, the lawyer said, quote, she's not an AI specialist. The law does not require her to know what an altered video looks like. Ms. Cooper is no different than many of the millions of Americans online on a daily basis that are speaking their opinions, speaking about what they see, talking about what's being reported. Some of your favorite comedians would be sitting right next to Ms. Cooper if they were being held to the same standard that she is being held to by the plaintiff. So this is just comedy, okay? The lawyer said Milagro is a mother who's been married for 13 years to her high school sweetheart. She's a believer. In college, she got straight A's while she was majoring in criminal justice. She's even got training in victim advocacy. It's not like she hates this woman. And she's been all day, all night online just cyberbullying her. That's not the case. Milagro, the real woman, has built a legitimate business. This case is about commentary, not this conspiracy that they're trying to convince you of and trying to make you believe. Milagro's criticisms are protected. That means like under the Constitution. This is retaliation, Milagro's lawyer said. Now, Megan's lawyer, John O'Sullivan, asked Milagro about hearing the pew pew recording during the Tory Lanez trial. He said, quote, did you have an open mind on what happened that night? Absolutely, I had an open mind, Milagro said on the stand on Monday. Okay, and you thought Tory could be guilty? She said he could have been guilty based on the evidence that could have been presented when you go to trial. Megan's lawyer asked Milagro, you hadn't already made up your mind that Tory was innocent? She said, well, I had an idea of what I figured could happen, which would have been speculation. But once again, it was imperative that I went to the trial. And remember, Milagro went to the trial. She sat in every day. She saw it. She has more proper understanding of this case than most people because she was there every day at the trial. Megan's lawyer went on and questioned Milagro about an Instagram post that was evidence in Tory Lanez trial in which Tory Lanez Instagram account replies, quote, that's not true, to someone who says, people are saying Kelsey pew-pewed Megan. As Milagro tried to show a connection between her, wait, hold on. So Megan's lawyer went on to try to show a connection between Milagro and Tory Lanez, because that's part of the lawsuit is like, okay, was being used as a mouthpiece for Tory Lanez. Like he was telling her what to say because he was under a gag order. So she was saying it and it was to harass, Meg Thee Stallion. Now, some really interesting. I've seen a lot of commentary from a few of the people who are there at the trial saying stuff about cyberbullying, cyber stalking, harassment, stalking. That is not in this lawsuit. Maybe Megan in the original complaint or something did sue for that, but like that's not what this is. This is a defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and sharing deep fake AI pornographic imagery. There's no stalking. There's no harassment component. There's no cyberbullying. There's no cyber stalking component to this lawsuit. And I've seen some commentary about incitement. There's nothing about inciting the followers to do anything. Known should have known, put her in danger. There's nothing like that here. Maybe it was supposed to be that. Maybe it was that in the beginning. That ain't what's going on. I told y'all, the three things: defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and sharing the imagery. Alleged. These are the allegations. These are the cause of action. Shout out to Straight Out of BS Podcast. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Hey, BJ, I reached out via email when you have time. I'll have to take a look. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to Angela Washington Talich. Aloha. Aloha to you. New subscriber here, and I absolutely love your channel. You are hilarious, girl. You got me thinking about pursuing law school. Have a blessed day. Everybody should pursue it if they want. Everybody should. I mean, it's hard. It's hard. Woo. I wouldn't want to go back, but if I had to, start over, had to do it again, I would do it again for sure. It was worth it, I think. Okay, let's get back into this. So Megan the Stallion's lawyer was trying to basically prove this so-called, conspiracy thing, like being a mouthpiece for Tory. And he brought up this video, this music video, this Tory Lanez music video entitled Cap, for a song entitled Cap, in which there's a butcher shop scene and he's allegedly, apparently chopping a supposed leg of a horse up with the initials HGS written on the menu behind him in the music video. Megan refers to her and her Megan, okay, the HGS refers to, I think, Megan and her phrase hot girl summer. Megan's lawyer seemed to be implying through his questioning to Milagro, or his questioning of Milagro on Monday, this is the first day of the trial, that she highlighted the horse's leg to promote the video in coordination with Lanez. So just again, y'all. So it's Tory Lanez. He's got a music video. Music video comes out. He's chopping up a horse leg, allegedly. I don't know if it's a horse leg or not. I never watched the music video. Apparently, it's a horse leg, and on the menu it says HGS. So maybe that's a Megan Thee Stallion reference. Okay. So Milagro tweets like, "Now Daystar, is that a horse leg? Oh my god!" Like a question. Questions ain't defamation. But Megan's lawyer is kind of saying, well, that was, implying, at least according to Megan Cuniff's article. O'Sullivan, this is Megan the Stallion's lawyer, seems to be implying through the questioning of Milagro on Monday that the reason she highlighted that horse leg situation was to promote the video in coordination with Tory Lanez, which would have, of course, again, violated the gag order from the court case. But Milagro, and then there was also then a protective order. Like there was also a actual restraining order after the trial was over, the criminal trial. Meg got a restraining order against Tory Lanez, which does make sense given what the jury found. He was in a butcher shop. Who eats horses? Milagro said. So actually, I don't believe it was a horse's leg. A lot of people were speculating, Milagro continued. When I'm doing commentary, it's not about what I want to talk about, because otherwise I'd sit up there and talk to myself. I have to make sure that I'm on the pulse with what my audience wants to talk about. And that's not how I do it over here on this channel. I talk about what I feel like talking about, when I feel like talking about it, how I feel like talking about it, however long I feel like talking about it. If y'all like it, that's awesome. Shout out to the cousins. If y'all don't, I'm gonna be over here talking to myself. So for me, that's not how I do. That ain't how I run this channel. If I did what y'all wanted me to talk about, Lord knows I'd be talking about stuff I don't feel like talking about and don't care about all day. Okay. Now, thankfully, y'all come over here and listen to me talk. That's great. That's wonderful. But this is not my philosophy. But this is a lot of people's philosophy. You got to keep your finger on the pulse. You got to see what's getting the views. I don't even check a view. I don't check a view. Like, oh, this one got more than this one. Let me do more of it. No. If I did, I would have never actually continued covering this particular exact case. Because, like, my audience at first did not want to hear about no Tory Lanez. I had 128 people in the chat right after I had 12,000 a couple months before. I don't care, truly, what people want to hear me talk about. The Lord says what I'm going to talk about, and that's it. Okay, anyway. Milagro. But shout out to people who think this way. I mean, a lot of people do. Like, it is a job. You do have to make money. I understand, like, where it's coming from. I'm not saying it's a character flaw. It's just, I just want to make it very clear. That's not what I do. Okay. Milagro spoke so fast that the court reporter typing a transcript of the proceedings stopped her several times. And the judge warned her, this is not a video clip. This is not a podcast. Please slow down. She's asked you several times. Okay, that's my judge impression. Okay, so that's how, in my mind, that's how the judge is talking. That's how she sounds to me in my mind. And I wouldn't know how she actually sounds because they won't let the cameras be in there. O'Sullivan, this is Megan Thee Stallion's lawyer, displayed texts between Milagro and Tory Lanez's dad, Sunstar Peterson. These texts were from February 2022 about Milagro traveling. That ain't how I do. It ain't. Sorry. About Milagro traveling to Miami. Milagro says she was interviewing Tory Lanez, and Megan's lawyer asked if it's common for an interview subject to be paid by the person she's interviewing. Milagro said that it was common. She also testified she hadn't read the California Court of Appeals 46-page affirmation. I haven't read it either. Affirming Tory Lanez's convictions, which was issued last week. Quote, I'm in a federal trial and that's where my attention is. That makes sense. Like, I don't have time to read his crap. I've been preparing for my federal trial. She also said the ruling is of less interest to her because she is still under a gag order in the case, prohibiting her from speaking publicly about related issues such as Tory Lanez. She's like, I can't even talk about it anyway, so why tease myself with reading this 50-page long thing like I don't have my own problems to worry about in court? And that's totally believable. If I'm on the jury, I believe that. I definitely believe that if I'm on the jury. Megan Thee Stallion's lawyer referenced one of his team's most valuable pretrial orders when he asked Milagro about missing text messages that a forensic technician analyzed before the trial. Jurors will be instructed at the end of the trial that Milagro deleted texts and the WhatsApp messaging service app from her phone in violation of a legal notice. Jurors will also be told that they should assume and infer that Milagro intended to deprive Megan Thee Stallion, quote, of evidence in the deleted messages, and that at least some of the messages that were deleted related to the claims in this case, and they were about Megan Thee Stallion, and that the deleted messages were unfavorable to Milagro. The U.S. magistrate judge, this is a different judge, this is a magistrate judge, so kind of like a lower judge, not the judge presiding over the full trial right now. It's a different judge beforehand that ruled on Sunday Tory Lanez has to be sanctioned or should be sanctioned $20,000, and his lawyer, Crystal Morgan, should be sanctioned $5,000 for their, quote, disruptive conduct during Tory's November 14th deposition. The magistrate judge's ruling recommended that jurors be told that Tory Lanez refused to answer 3 questions. Number 1, he refused to answer how he first came to know Milagro Cooper. He refused to answer whether he communicated with Milagro, and he refused to answer whether he sent Milagro Instagram direct messages or text messages. Jurors have not yet heard about the specific questions Lanez dodged in his deposition, but they heard a lot about Milagro's deleted texts during her testimony on Monday. The judge overruled several asked and answered objections from Milagro's lawyer, Jeremy McLemont, as Megan's lawyer questioned Milagro about the deletions that a forensic analysis identifies. Megan's lawyer mentioned the multi-hour pretrial hearing and asked Milagro if she was denying she deleted texts with Tory Lanez. Is there anything you take accountability for in that? Megan Thee Stallion's lawyer asked. Milagro testified she believes she saved what they asked for, and she said she was not advised properly by her legal counsel. She said, it was not my goal or aim to ever try to deceive you guys. Milagro testified, I do not feel that Megan got hurt. I do feel, Milagro testified, quote, I do feel Megan got hurt, but the truth of what happened is indecipherable. And the case started to look like it doesn't matter what you present. Jurors also saw a text that Milagro sent Tory Lanez early on before his trial saying, I don't know how your energy is, but everything's been so crazy that I can only imagine. I don't know how you're going your life tonight, but if you gave me that or any, I don't know how you're going live tonight. I don't know, doing your live tonight. I don't know what this is supposed to say. It says, IDK how you were going your life tonight. But if you gave me that or any exclusive, it would change my life. So it appears as though Milagro is asking Tory Lanez for an exclusive as far as this Megan Cuniff article is concerned. And it says, I've been dying to know why you asked for my number. Regardless of whatever you do and how you do it, you are not a throwaway. No judgment holds weight to that of the Most High. I wish you the best. Now, Milagro testified that she hoped Tory Lanez would grant her one exclusive interview, but she maintained that he did not influence her coverage of the case in any way, or Megan. The 9 jurors in the case were seated in about 2.5 hours. So jury selection for Diddy's trial took like 2 days. This took 2.5 hours Monday morning. Megan says, I'll have more information about them as the trial progresses. Jurors were told the trial will go on until next Wednesday. So that's another week from today. And they may need and they may need to return the Monday after Thanksgiving. She was recognized at the airport. Okay, so that was the trial day one stuff. So let's go to Megan Cunif's Twitter and see if we can get anything from that day one that we missed on the first day that wasn't perhaps included in the tweets that I already read. The jury has been seated for the Megan Thee Stallion defamation trial against Milagro Grams. Again, this was on Monday. 5 men and 4 women, including a black man and a black woman. The black man is a teacher who described himself as a disciplinarian. Opening statements were set to begin at 1:30 p.m. The judge briefly summarized the case to the jury. Megan accused Milagro of falsely accusing her of committing the crime of perjury. So Megan Thee Stallion is saying, Milagro falsely accused me of doing perjury, which is a crime. So she accused me of a crime. Also, Megan Thee Stallion accused Milagro of supposedly promoting a fake, image or video rather of her, and of engaging in extreme and outrageous conduct by coordinating with Daystar Peterson, the man convicted of Pew Pew Miss Pete. Now, this right here with those adverse jury instructions may end up being one of those intentional infliction of emotional distress claims that does survive, because there is this sort of uphill battle that Milagro is kind of climbing with those 2 adverse jury instructions, meaning the jury should assume that there was unfavorable stuff Milagro deleted on purpose to hide the evidence. And, Tory Lanez refused to answer questions. So y'all should assume, he was trying to hide something or whatever. Now, the judge said Milagro denied all allegations and any coordination with Tory Lanez. She's a social media personality who reports on many topics in the hip hop community, and she acknowledges questioning Megan Thee Stallion Pete's credibility. She maintains that any public criticism stems from Megan Thee Stallion's own actions and statements, not from Milagro's conduct. Now, Milagro's lawyer, Jeremy McLemont, mentioned one possible defense witness as Livingston Allen, DJ Academics. Now, DJ Academics has come out and said he ain't going up there unless he gets subpoenaed. Jurors already will be seeing excerpts from his video deposition. Side note, downtown Miami seems to have a real edge. They have better food. Opening statements were about 45 minutes long total. Remember the Diddy trial opening statements? And this is a civil case, by the way. It's not criminal. So it's just completely different. This is also a different district and stuff like that. But I've only really ever covered like day by day trial updates pretty much with the Diddy trial. So it's like my point of reference. But this is not a criminal trial, and this is not in any way related to the Diddy trial at all. It's just like the only other one that I covered, and it was this year. And it's just interesting to me to see what the span of jury selection can take a week, or it can take 2.5 hours. Both federal court. It's just interesting. But it's nothing else to say that anything is like anything else other than to just point out it's interesting. That's all. Only reason I'm really bringing it up. So in the opening statements, Megan's lawyer played audio of the pew pew shots, then said Milagro saw the shots as her shot at the spotlight. I don't know if I really buy that. She already was a commentator. She already was kind of in the spotlight. Milagro's lawyer said she called Megan a liar because Milagro's lawyer said, yeah, my client called Megan a liar because Megan lied. That's what Milagro's lawyer said. Milagro was the first witness. Megan's lawyer, John O'Sullivan, was questioning her, Milagro. He played audio of the gunshots and is asking her about what she heard. The jury saw Tory Lanez's entire Cap music video and Milagro's tweet. Daystar, is that a horse's leg? John O'Sullivan asked about Tory Lanez being found in violation of his bail for witness intimidation because of the Cap video. Milagro says she don't remember that. She said, I could not say at this time. Milagro's defense to the claim that she shared the digitally altered SUL depiction of Meg Thee Stallion is that she thought the pornographic video was real. The court ended about 10 minutes ago. Milagro will return to the stand after lunch, and then Megan will testify. Milagro testified to that she hasn't read the appellate decision affirming Tory Lanez's conviction. She's putting together an article, quick update. Okay. Megan leaving court. We have officially met. How's it going, Megan? Milagro leaving court. Milagro chatted with the TMZ reporter. The first thing Milagro's lawyer said to the jurors was, yes, Megan Pete was pew pew. But whether he did it or not, that case, that tragedy, that happened in California. That has nothing to do with what we're doing over here. Okay, so I do have like a little bit of a hard cutoff in about like 48 minutes because we have to go from here over there to my new investigation into Howard Rubin. So I'm not going to play all the videos because I want to try to get to like the updates from where we are now. So if you are so inclined, you may go and check out Megan Cuniff's Twitter and her Substack and her whatever, her Patreon, wherever she has over there. Okay, so let's start talking about day 2. So apparently, and day 2 is where I started watching everybody else's coverage. Okay, there started to be other people covering the trial. All right, so we have Donat, we have Pam Esquire, we have Armand Wiggins, we have Megan Cuniff, and I think those are the only 4 I know about. Okay, so first things first, apparently yesterday, whenever court started, there was like a judge, the judge asked something about somebody, whether or not somebody was getting intimidating a witness. Did somebody intimidate? Did somebody threaten somebody in the bathroom? There's drama. There's things going on. Okay. There's side plots. There's side quests that you can't bring your laptop in there. It's a whole thing. Okay. So let's start here with, let's start with because we're kind of in this vibe right now. Let's start with Megan again. Cuniff's coverage. This is going to be her document, her article from day 2. So this was yesterday. This article that's going to be described. Everything we just now were discussing up until right this very moment has been from day 1 of the trial. It was Milagro. I don't think she even finished that first day. I think she testified more yesterday. So this is the title for the article that came out yesterday, and it was about yesterday in court. Sued streamer says she would bow down and apologize if she believed Tory Lane's pew pew Megan Thee Stallion. Defendant Milagro Cooper finished testifying late yesterday afternoon at the federal courthouse in Miami. Megan Thee Stallion's wearing a very similar silhouette as the first day. I call that the other mother suit with the little skirt. Cute. I get it. It's cute. I don't know about this purse for court. I think if you're going to court, I'm starting a series called Home Training, and it's all the things that I had to learn the hard way about like what you're supposed to wear to certain types of things. And one of the things for sure when you go to court, you wear a tote. Okay. This is an unspoken rule I had to learn the hard way. Okay. You don't bring a little purse to court. You bring a tote. You bring something, even if you didn't bring a laptop and a notebook, you bring a bag big enough to where it looks like you might have. Even if you're a man, bring a messenger bag. Bring a little leather-esque pleather, a backpack. Something big enough looks like you brought something serious to write notes with. Preferably if you could go to the CVS and get yourself a notebook real quick, throw one in there. You want to have a tote when you go to court, okay? Everything else I'll say, especially considering how celebrities normally dress to go to court, she looks presentable, truly. I have to say it. The nails, if I'm giving you like a very very critical critique, I would cut the nails a little shorter. But truly, that's fine. No problem with the nails. The hair's good. Maybe a little bit less titty out. Maybe a little, if I'm, this is a celebrity, so I'm holding it to that standard. But I would probably cover the cleavage crack if you're asking me for my home training series. So I would replace that bag with a tote. Certainly put a notebook in there in the tote. And maybe put on a necklace or something just for fashion's sake, but not for home training sake. Cover the titty crack. And just like a little bit less wopified. The shoes are fine. There's closed toe. It's fine. Everything else is fine to me. And the fit and the silhouette of the suit is nice. It's a nice, flattering. I get it. I see where she's coming from. Okay. An online commentator accused of defaming rapper Megan Thee Stallion testified all day Tuesday about evidence. Also, I have lots of things to say about this outfit right here. But like I said, I'm running out of time. So if I had to pick one of these to go into court, I'd probably pick this one. Okay, I'll say that. He looks fine. No complaints here. That's what men can wear that to court. I mean, if I'm being super nitpicky, the tie should be about an inch longer here. Should be like going to the belt, but like that's fine. Whatever. He probably just, it's Thanksgiving time. Okay, anyway, Milagro answered questions from Megan's lawyer, John O'Sullivan, for about 4 hours as O'Sullivan. She has assistants to carry the big bag. Yeah. That's why I said you don't actually even have to put the notebook in. It's just like the look. You're going for the court look. You know what I mean? She tried. It's fine. I've seen some crazy stuff that celebrities have worn to court. I mean, did y'all see what Kid Cudi wore? But that wasn't his trial. I will say that. He was subpoenaed. Hold on. Yeah, the heels are a little high. They're a little sensual, but again, like I'm holding her to the celebrity standard because she is a celebrity. Like it is like kind of a catwalk moment for them too. Milagro answered questions from Megan's lawyer for 4 hours or so as he pressed her about her coverage of Tory Lanez's criminal trial and convictions for pew-pewing Megan 5 years ago. Milagro testified she had a 3-way call with Tory Lanez and his dad, but never heard about the pew-pew until she spoke with only Tory Lanez's father in February 2021. She said Tory Lanez was hesitant to say, Peterson meaning the dad. Tory Lanez's dad was, quote, hesitant to say anything that would compromise his son. So he literally stopped before anything got to the weapon. To apparently try to show that Tory Lanez had to have told Milagro about the shooting, Megan's lawyer played a recording of Milagro emotionally saying that if Tory Lanez lied to her, she would want to fight him because Tory Lanez told her that they would be vindicated. You didn't have any personal knowledge of what happened that night, right? Megan's lawyer asked Milagro, referring to the pew-pew. Milagro said she wasn't there. I wasn't there. I don't know. I wasn't there. She said, how could I have personal knowledge? I can't have personal knowledge. I wasn't there. Megan Thee Stallion's lawyer. So, whatever you might bring to the table, it's just stuff you found out somewhere else, right? She said, right. Okay. Megan's lawyer said, and the things you were bringing to the table were ways of thinking about what happened that night that might let Tory be not guilty, right? Milagro said, no. She testified that she was, quote, always open to the understanding that anybody could be lying to her. So on the phone call with him and his dad, they say they appreciated my content and they say to me, just watch everything and you'll see. But he didn't give me details. He just said, you'll see. Megan's lawyer ended his direct examination by asking Milagro what she would do if she found out today, conclusively, that the shooting happened, how the jury found that Tory did it. What would you do if you found that out today, Milagro? She said, I would feel terrible. Megan's lawyer said, but you're positive he's not guilty, so you feel okay defending that in even the most aggressive ways? She said, again, no, I'm not positive. But I haven't believed everything, Megan Thee Stallion said, and it's not about if she got hurt. I know she was hurt, and I hate that she was hurt. Truly, I do. But you have to understand from my point of view. Milagro said, and apparently this was a big emotional moment yesterday. She said, you have to understand my point of view. She said her mother went to jail her whole upbringing. She said, quote, I come from a negative area where so many people go to jail. Not everyone is guilty. She continued, her emotions rising. So when a black man was being accused of something and the details were shaky, she said she wanted to be certain of the facts. And I agree. I do too. I do too. Black man or not, but yeah, especially black man. He is being accused of something and all the details are shaky. Y'all watched me day by day go through this case, hours I spent on live stream. And when I started out, I was like, I don't know. I just want to find out and see. By the end of whenever last video I made or whatever, I'm like, this This feels unconstitutional. I think it was a shakedown. I think it was what's the word I'm looking for? Like he got railroaded. I don't think it was a fair trial. I'll say that. So I actually agree here. It's like the details were shaky. That's a big issue. And another thing that's been widely reported from everyone, I'm talking all the people that I heard covering the case from day 2, which was yesterday, all of them said Milagro came across on the stand very good. She came across as the lawyers couldn't even keep up with her. Like, not so far beyond like, oh, articulate. No. Like, substantively, she was tripping up the lawyers. She was saying stuff I think maybe, from the sounds of it, they didn't even expect her to say. Like this situation right here, apparently, like, it kind of sounded like from reports inside the courtroom, this lawyer was planning on going down this line of questioning a little more. But when Milagro said that, it was compelling and impactful. So then the line of questioning shifted or ended. She said, quote, if a situation presented itself, making it 100% clear, all I could do is bow down and apologize, meaning like to Meg the Stallion, is what Milagro testified. Megan's lawyer began his direct examination on Monday, took about 7 hours over 2 days. Milagro's lawyer, Jeremy McClemont, cross-examined Milagro on Tuesday afternoon for about 45 minutes. So 7-hour direct examination, 45-minute cross-examination. Milagro's lawyer asked Milagro on the cross-examination about specific incidents in which she believes Megan lied, including whenever she said she wasn't drunk when Kelsey said they were not intoxicated, denying that she slept. Okay, so the specific instances was like talking about being intoxicated, denying that she had slept with Tory Lanez when actually later she had admitted to doing so. And Milagro's lawyer said, and that caused a lot of uproar in the community, right? Milagro said yes, because she literally said, oh, I don't know why he would say something like that. Milagro also testified about Megan telling police she stepped on glass when asked if she had been pew-pewed. Like at first, Megan said, I stepped on glass. I didn't get pew-pewed. And the police were like, are you sure? Because we got a call saying that there was 5 pew-pews shots. And she was like, no. And she came out later and said the reason that she had been not truthful whenever she talked to those cops was, among other things, because of the George Floyd situation. And she was like, I didn't want to be responsible for a black man getting shot. But then apparently Milagro had said something like, then that means she should have been understanding of why I wasn't just going to take this shaky ass case as, yeah, he definitely did it. If she can understand the plight of black men in one case, why she couldn't understand the plight of black men in another case right next to it for the same person, right? Because Megan the Stallion is saying, I didn't want Tory Lanez to get pew-pew by the cops in a George Floyd situation. Milagro is saying, I didn't want to see Tory Lanez get railroaded by the criminal justice system, and the facts were shaky. So the same exact person they were concerned about for the same exact reasons, and I actually agree with Milagro. Why? What? More reasons that the credibility just ain't adding up. Yes, I did say whoppified. Yes, a little whoppified. Shout out to the cousins in the chat. Okay. Yes. Okay. She literally said, okay, wait. So Milagro's lawyer said, and when you say that Megan did not tell certain truths, do you have evidence that she did not tell certain truths? She said, I feel like I do. Yeah. Oh, a jury of 5 men and 4 women is to decide whether Milagro is liable for 3 claims: defamation for saying Megan perjured herself in the Tory Lanez trial, intentional infliction of emotional distress for coordinating with Tory Lanez allegedly and his father to, quote, harass Megan, and promotion, but it's not a harassment claim. It's IIED. It's not harassment. Specifically, it's intentional infliction of emotional distress. That's interesting that that's how they brought that claim instead of a straight harassment or bullying or cyber stalking. And promotion of a digitally altered SUL depiction. Megan's lawyers and the trial team are trying to get jurors to understand years of social media banter and relationships between people who are strangers to them. At least one juror is already struggling. Now, this is another issue that a lot of the commentary and most of the commentators, I think all of them, have said as well. There's a few things that they all agree on. One thing they all agree on, Megan looks good on the stand, much better than she looks in her streams that they've selectively cherry picked and are playing for the jury. Another thing that they all agree upon is it's boring. Megan's lawyers are focusing on the wrong stuff. They're all off in the weeds. The jurors are falling asleep. The court reporter's falling asleep. And it just looks like a tit for tat, two girls mad at each other instead of like, let's stop talking about Tory Lanez, who shot who. Let's stop talking about that. Let's start talking about what Milagro actually did. The jurors are falling asleep and they're confused. Who's Kelsey? Who's Chelsea? Who's Tony Lanez? One of them said. One of the jurors actually sent a note up to the judge and said, I'm confused about what all these people are. Sunstar is the dad, Daystar is the son, Kelsey's who? Is it the friend? What's Tony Lanez? Who? Is Tony the same as SoStar? They are confused. That's what's being reported. U.S. District Judge Cecilia Altanaga told attorneys yesterday morning that a juror asked for clarification about names and relationships mentioned in the testimony. The juror wrote the questions down at the judge's direction. Quote, I'm unsure about who Tony Lanez is. This is like after a full day of sitting through jury selection and trial. This is Tuesday morning. Who's Tony Lanez? Is Daystar Tony? SoStar is the dad? Kelsey is former friend of Miss Megan? The judge reminded the attorneys about the questions later in the day while also recommending they give jurors transcripts of the audio recordings being played. The judge said, I'm understanding maybe 80% of what's being said. Oh, the judge ain't even understanding what's being said. Don't even know. She said 80%. And you have this jury's question about trying to understand relationships and meaning. I'll just remind you of that. It's getting a bit confusing. And remember, Milagro's lawyer only was up there 45 minutes on the second day or whatever. So really this note was toward seemingly the questions that were being asked of Milagro by Megan's lawyer. And it's like, they're so off in the weeds. In my opinion, they're so off in their own echo chamber that they're not stopping to remember that like Megan Thee Stallion is truly not a household name. Maybe Nicki Minaj, maybe. But Megan Thee Stallion isn't even a household name. Okay. Not the allegedly botted streams have gotten all the way into the frontal lobe, into the cortex. Okay. They think everybody knows who it is. Not only does everybody not know who she is, definitely everybody don't know who Tony Lanez, Tory Lanez is. I'm just kidding. That's what they wrote there. And most certainly, if they don't know who Megan Thee Stallion or Tory Lanez is, then how could they possibly know who Milagro Cooper is? Maybe some of them. But remember, in jury selection, nobody raised their hand, according to Megan Cuniff, whenever the judge asked, does anybody know who Milagro Cooper is? So, like, this isn't like everybody knows what's going on. Like, you have to slowly walk. Like, these are regular jurors from, like, regular, like, people who qualify for jury duty and show up and serve. Okay, so not really clear to the jurors. They're asking questions. The judge is even saying, I don't even know what the hell y'all are talking about half the time, 20% of the time. The judge did not answer the juror's question, but Milagro's attorney began his cross-examination by having Milagro identify Tory Lanez's real name as Daystar Peterson, his father as Sunstar Peterson, and Kelsey Harris is Megan's friend who was with her the night she was pew-pew. Some of Megan's lawyers' questions were aimed at showing jurors Milagro's connection to Tory Lanez and his dad. Milagro said Tory's dad became a father figure to her, and they discussed topics other than Tory's case, such as his interest in cooking and podcasting. Jurors also saw a timeline that included Milagro texting Tory Lanez in September 2020 that an exclusive would change her life. Milagro getting a station head contract in May 2021, her visiting Tory Lanez and his father in Miami in February 2022, Milagro posting the horse leg music video, and they also saw a list of $3,000 in electronic funds transfers from Tory Lanez's dad to Milagro Cooper. These exchanges began in October of 2020. Now, what were these these funds exchanges for? They do get into that. In March 3rd, 2022, there were 6 payments between October 2020 and March 2022, 6 different payments from Tory Lane's dad, ranging from $200 to $1,000. Now, Megan's lawyer's attorney questioned Milagro about her February 2022 tweet, falsely stating that Tory Lane's DNA wasn't found on the gun when the finding actually was that it was inconclusive, which this is kind of I feel like a little bit of a gray area, because they had to have like experts come in and actually say explicitly, specifically, like inconclusive versus not on the gun versus excluded from the gun. Like that could be a misspeak. That's like a highly complicated, like it was inconclusive, but doesn't that kind of to a layperson mean they couldn't conclusively say it was on the gun? I think that's a little bit hard to like pin a defamation case on that. Milagro and streamer DJ Academics posted about the DNA before it was discussed in court, but Milagro testified Tuesday that she saw DJ Academics post and shared her own version because it corroborated things that multiple people had told her. Megan's lawyer displayed Milagro's handwritten notes from Tory Lane's December 2022 trial in LA, in which she wrote, "Tory inconclusive. Tory cannot be excluded, included." So they have actually her trial notebook scanned in and showing it to the jury. Then they played a recording of Milagro's live stream that began, quote, "Tory Lanez voluntarily submitted to a DNA test and his DNA was not found on the weapon." This is a quote from Milagro from a live stream. "This is a fact. Sue me if there's not a form that black and white states this. I'll wait. If I'm lying, then challenge me. Then sue me. Then is that the thing? No. I'm not retracting a damn thing and I'm not doing nothing. So no. No face, no case. I spoke to my sources. They live on the moon." Whatever that is. The recording was about 4 minutes long. Milagro testified she doesn't have an exact name of who told her about the DNA report. "Multiple people came to me and I have a personal relationship with all the different people." And the lawyer said, "Can you give me a name of even a single source you relied on?" And Milagro said no. And she explained that this was because, and I got this information from Donat or Armand Wiggins, but they were saying Milagro explained she has a tip line. She has a tip line. She does, she accepts tips from people, like not money tips, like, information tips. And sometimes people call her that are really close to the case. They'll submit something to the tip line anonymous. Sometimes they submit not anonymous. So she's like, "I get all these tips." No, I don't remember who told me that specifically. No, I don't. But somebody did. Meg's lawyer played a 3 to 4 minute recording of Milagro talking about the Trauma Olympics. Quote, "I told y'all a long time ago what people value and what they see in Megan." She said, "Hoes, I'm going to say it just like that. You hoes value Megan." This is, I'm reading from an article, y'all, please. Quote, "Because it makes you feel like the way that you live your life is okay." Oh, I'm still like traumatized by watching her classy, bougie, savage, whatever it was on the Kamala Harris presidential. I mean, that for me was like really the death toll, the death knoll, the final nail in the coffin. I was like, no. I mean, I already was no on her, Kamala, but that was just too much. No, it's just so wobbified. I'm just no, no. Milagro said, quote, and this recording was played in court yesterday, quote, "All y'all walking around in la la land, not being accountable for the BS that y'all do, the lies that y'all tell, and the blank y'all stir up." Milagro goes on, quote, "And then you look at her win an award and you say, oh, I can do that too. Rah, great. Nobody has to address the problems." She also said Megan wouldn't be in her situation if she had somebody to tell her to put down the bottle. Oh, that's a quote. "Put the bottle down." Milagro also said on the recording that y'all are mad at Tory and want him to be the scapegoat for your bad decisions. She compared it to the hoes who get with child and then claim, oh. So look, again, it was said by a couple of other people in court that while Milagro on the stand came across very good, the selected, selections that they did play from her recordings didn't particularly make her look the best. But her lawyer's saying, look, in the opening statement, it's crass, it's crude, but it's not a conspiracy. She's allowed to say this stuff. So Megan Thee Stallion's lawyer said this recording was just before the lawsuit was filed. Why were you speaking with such vitriol against Megan in 2024? Milagro said her grandparents had introduced her to Richard Pryor and Bernie Mac and other comedians. So when it's time for me to do a show, I feel like that's when you step into that terrace. You become a performer. Milagro said she speaks about others in the same way because she has the same passion and conviction. She's like, I'm not singling Meg out. I talk about everybody like that. Megan Thee Stallion's lawyer, also questioned Milagro about social media posts and recordings in which she questioned whether Megan Thee Stallion is mentally incapacitated. She said R word. And needed a guardian. Milagro said the post was based on a friend of Megan's, apparently somebody named Chelsea, telling Megan that she wasn't telling Milagro. So apparently this Chelsea friend calls Milagro or tip lines Milagro and says, that rumor that you're spreading that Megan Thee Stallion is having relations with this Travis Ferris person is false. Want to know why? Travis Ferris, according to this friend Chelsea, is Megan's guardian. Right? Apparently Chelsea didn't say handler. Apparently Chelsea said guardian, which led Milagro to believe, well, if Megan Thee Stallion needs a guardian, that's like a Britney Spears, Wendy Williams situation. So maybe she got something wrong with her. Maybe she was on some something there. She needed a guardian. Y'all already know how I feel about it. I mean, I have a 5-year-long residency on YouTube bashing guardianships and conservatorships. So I'm not a guardianships fan. But I could see why Milagro would think that there was maybe some mental incapacitation if there was indeed a guardian in place. But then Megan Thee Stallion's lawyer was like, well, couldn't it have been a guardian angel? Asking if Milagro based her comments about Megan being mentally R-word on a single word, guardian. And Milagro said, quote, I felt that was odd verbiage. Yes, for someone of her age. Typically for someone her age, you wouldn't use the word guardian. Megan's lawyer also questioned Milagro about Kelsey, the former best friend's interview with prosecutors before Tory Lanez trial, after he played a 15-minute excerpt in which Kelsey detailed Tory Lanez assaulting her, then pew Megan. Milagro testified yesterday at length about why she doesn't believe Kelsey. She thought that Kelsey was lying, including that Tory Lanez told her in the SUV before the shooting that he had been having relations with Megan and that Kelsey was also having relations with Tory. So Megan was having relations with Tory, Kelsey was having relations with Tory, and Kelsey just found it out in the car. Quote, a woman just found out that her best friend slept with her guy behind her back. To me, that's motive. She also referenced police station photos that showed Megan had a knot on her head. Kelsey had scratches. Tory had no defensive wounds or nothing wrong. So I heard what she said, but it didn't align. She said, I heard what she said, but I just didn't believe it. It didn't align with the other accounts. Megan's lawyer said, so you're here today to tell us that she was wrong when she said that's what happened? I'm here to tell you that there were multiple people who saw different things, Milagro said. Milagro's lawyer asked about some of the 20,000 messages deleted that Milagro's lawyer questioned her about in the direct examination. Do those thousands of messages have anything to do with Daystar or Sunstar Peterson? Milagro said no. It would be virtually impossible because we have never communicated to that extent. Now, jurors will be instructed that Milagro deleted thousands of texts and removed the WhatsApp messaging app from her phone in violation of a legal notice, and that jurors should assume and infer that Milagro intended to deprive Megan Thee Stallion of evidence in the deleted messages, that at least some of the deleted messages related to the claims in the case were about Megan Thee Stallion, and that these deleted messages were unfavorable to Milagro. Now, Milagro's lawyer referenced Tory Lanez's dad's payments to Milagro by confirming them and then asking, did you get offered $1 million? She said, no, I did not. Milagro's attorney said the money wasn't to pay you for your mouth, correct? She said that is correct. It was not. Milagro said the money was for her birthday and for her 2 children's birthdays on one occasion, or maybe 2 or 3. Tory Lane's dad also paid for, quote, promotional services for his podcast, and I believe he had written a book on a separate occasion. Now, Milagro's lawyer also asked Milagro about other online personalities who support Tory Lanez, such as DJ Academics, Joe Budden, and Aiden Ross, to make the point that all of these men with much larger followings than Milagro also called Megan a liar or said she lied, but they're not getting sued. Milagro's lawyer displayed messages to Milagro's hotline and asked her to read aloud from Nicole from Philly. Now, is every source legitimate? Milagro's lawyer asked. No, Milagro answered. Do you evaluate leads and tips that come in from different sources? She said yes. Milagro speaks about topics other than Megan, including politics, relationships, other celebrities, and her own personal life. Her lawyer also emphasized that Milagro never formally accused Megan of perjury. She's like, did you ever actually say Megan committed perjury? In fact, Milagro said no. So does this tweet here say that Megan lied on the stand? Milagro said no. Her lawyer asked if the tweet was more about a bigger, more general topic of Megan and other witnesses potentially lying or not having proper credibility. Milagro said, yes, that is what I was talking about. Milagro's lawyer confirmed that she watched the entire trial. She took 2 notebooks worth of notes and then said that she has the right to her own opinion as to what she saw throughout the course of the trial. Milagro said, yeah, I agree. Her lawyer also emphasized that Megan had pew-pew fragments in her feet, not whole pew-pew, you know what's. He referenced a Shade Room post that said the pew-pew in Megan's feet matched Tory's pew-pew. Milagro said a bullet would be the complete bullet, not a fragment. Milagro's lawyer also brought up Tory Lanez's apologetic text to Megan Thee Stallion and his apologetic call to Kelsey, and emphasized that he never specifically mentioned a shooting when he apologized. After Milagro left the stand, Megan's lawyers read some of Kelsey's testimony from the Tory Lanez trial, in which she answered yes to confirm Tory Lanez had threatened to pew-pew her, but she said she couldn't remember what she said. The testimony included Kelsey dodging questions about her pre-trial interview with prosecutors and saying she made false statements, plural, in the interview. Kelsey also confirmed that she texted Meg's security help, Tory shot Meg, 911, and said she did so because she was in a panic. Now the accusation that you shot Meg is false. Is that correct? Yes. Megan is expected to testify today. Psychologist Lenore Walker will likely also testify after her. She was at the courthouse Tuesday and watched Milagro's testimony, and, she'll write articles. Now, this part right here is another one of the criticisms that a lot of the people who are covering this trial out of the 4 people are, I think all of them are saying, like they're really focusing just way too much on who shot who, when, where, how. Like they're really trying to relitigate this trial and, criminal trial when really what is the jury? It doesn't have to decide who shot who. That's already been decided. That's already getting decided over there in California. So Milagro's lawyer in the opening statement really did kind of accurately predict what they were going to be doing. And, it does seem to have been, like I said, accurate. Now, like I said, I do have a hard cutoff at 6 p.m. So I am going to have to shift gears to the David trial because I did promise, or the David case, because I did promise that I would cover it in this video. So I'm going to have to call it for the Milagro situation there. I'm going to, I'll probably end up doing a video tomorrow where I talk about what happened. The rest of the people's coverage from day 2, the tweets, and then also today's coverage. So I'll do that tomorrow. Let's shift gears to David now. We did get a TMZ exclusive last night or yesterday. TMZ exclusive, David investigators view him as suspect in Celeste Rivas' apparent homicide. Okay, so yesterday, 2:11 p.m. Pacific. So yeah, about 24 hours ago, they're calling it apparent homicide, which remember earlier they were like, we can't say for sure, or whatever. They still aren't saying for sure, but let's read what this exclusive is. TMZ says David is viewed as a suspect. Oh, get out of here. David is viewed as a suspect in the death of Celeste Rivas, the teenager who was found decomposing in his Tesla. Law enforcement sources with direct knowledge tell TMZ. Now, this comes right after, the day after, all these news sources were reporting that there's no arrest coming soon with the situation of there's no arrest coming soon. The very next day, David is apparently a suspect. Now, very importantly, he hasn't been officially named as a suspect. This is TMZ quoting an unnamed law enforcement source. We don't know who that is. As far as TMZ knows, there's no paperwork classifying David as a suspect, but as one of the sources told them, investigators are looking at David as a suspect. We're also told they're viewing Celeste's death as a homicide, even though the medical examiner has yet to determine cause or manner of death. Investigators are still awaiting the toxicology results. Now, again, this article came out yesterday. It was like a breaking exclusive. One source claims the police investigation revealed that around the spring of 2025, so spring this year, David took an inexplicable trip in the middle of the night to a remote area of Santa Barbara County and remained there for several hours. It is also unclear why a spring trip would be on LAPD's radar. We have not been able to find a photo or video of Celeste, dating more recently than September last year, 2024. David was living in the Hollywood Hills in a rental home. Cops searched the property for blood evidence, and his Tesla was abandoned on a nearby street and towed to an impound lot where Celeste's body was later found in the front trunk. Celeste's body was decomposing when it was found in the plastic bag. So they're going back to this plastic bag story. In early September, and the sources say, okay, this is breaking as of yesterday. It looks like the body was, we'll say, cut, you know what I mean, right there up, and that the manner in which Celeste was dismembered. Okay, so again, we're doubling back down at TMZ about this dismemberment narrative, strongly suggests whoever did it had help from other people. Okay, one more time. Celeste's body was decomposing when it was found in a plastic bag in early September. And TMZ's exclusive law enforcement sources say it looks like the body was, and that the manner, not only was it dismembered, but the manner in which it was dismembered, quote, strongly suggests whoever did it had help from other people. It's unclear if cops have any suspects other than David, and also David has not been officially named as a suspect by the cops. This is TMZ reporting, okay? LAPD told Harvey and TMZ 2 days ago, Monday, they are not even close to making an arrest. We reached out to David's camp. So far, no word back. Now, just a couple hours ago, we got this TMZ article. Investigators believe David had help dismembering and disposing of the body. Singer David has been deemed a suspect in connection with the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez, and a police source is speaking out about how authorities believe he is connected to the case. The police source alleges to People Magazine. Okay, so People Magazine got an exclusive. Okay, the police source alleges to People Magazine that the 20-year-old singer, whose real name is David Anthony Burke, quote, most likely had help dismembering and disposing of the body. So we're getting a little bit same and a little bit different or a little bit more context here. He is alleged to not only be a suspect in the unaliving, but also the dismembering and the disposing of the body. The source also claims that while David has not been charged with the crime, he, quote, has not been cooperative in the investigation. So y'all listen, sources telling People Magazine or people.com explicitly directly, David has not been cooperative. Now, David's representative previously told NBC News, Los Angeles, that he was fully cooperating with authorities. The LAPD did not immediately respond to people for comment when they reached out today. On September 8th, Rivas was found dead in the trunk of the singer's impounded Tesla 1 day after what would have been her 15th birthday. This is while David was on tour. The car was reported abandoned in the Hollywood Hills. No, it was reported by neighbors. Neighbors told NBC Los Angeles it had been there for about a month. Officers responded to the scene after others reported a foul odor coming from the vehicle in the Hollywood tow lot. Her body was identified by the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner, which listed her cause and manner of death as deferred. The police source tells People that investigators are treating this like a homicide and adds that the girl's body was decomposing when it was found in a plastic bag. The Riverside County Sheriff's Office said Rivas had been reported missing from Lake Elsinore, California, at least 3 times in 2024. Residents claim the teen had run away from home before, though her last known whereabouts remain unclear. LAPD Captain and Commanding Officer Scott Williams previously told People magazine that Rivas had been dead for several weeks prior to her body being discovered. He also confirmed that LAPD did serve a search warrant at a residence near where the car was towed. Okay. Let me go to the next article to just get to the stuff I have time to get to before we have to rush over to the Howard Rubin investigation. That's the Soros financier who was doing that stuff allegedly to the Playboy Playmates, and now he's being charged. We're going to talk about that on BJ Investigates in 8 minutes. Okay, so this is ABC News. They apparently allegedly have kind of like another insight to it. David considered as suspect in investigation. This is yesterday, 7:00 p.m. David now a suspect in teen's death. Sources tell ABC News that David is now considered a suspect by police in LA in the death of 15-year-old Celeste Rivas, whose body was found decomposing in the trunk registered to the singer. David is now considered a suspect in the death investigation. No arrests have been made. The investigation is ongoing. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner has still not determined a cause and manner of death for the teen. Was reported missing last year. According to sources, her body was dismembered, and the process of it and disposing of it is believed to have likely involved more than one person. So here we're getting more than one. Some sources say multiple. Does that mean more than one? Does that mean 3? Does that mean 6? I don't know. A lot of people are seeing the number 5 flash. I also kind of feel a strong inclination toward 5 total people in this ring, but I have no idea. I mean, who knows? That's a delusion. Who knows? Investigators have been in contact with multiple people they believe were involved in the case in some way. Investigators said they believe that the medical examiner will have a cause of death determined soon. Okay, so investigators said, breaking as of last night, they do believe the LA County Medical Examiner will determine the cause of death soon, which will be critical in finally making an arrest and determining charges. The teen may have been dead for several weeks before her body was discovered. Officers responded to the impound lot. Authorities located the body. The Tesla had been in the impound lot for 2 days. Allegedly, David is not cooperating with the investigations. It's the second news source that's saying they had contact with the source and a source, and David is not cooperating. ABC News has reached out to his representative and lawyer for comment several times, but has not received a response. Following the identification of the body in mid-September, David's home that he had been staying in was raided. David, who first went viral on TikTok, has 4 million followers. European leg of the tour was shut down. His tour canceled. Also, a deluxe edition of Romantic Homicide was set to be released September 19th, also paused. A source close to the situation previously told ABC News. Okay, so another ABC News article here. Again, I'm just going to get to as much as I can before I have to go to my next video premiere. David considered a suspect. Singer's considered a suspect. Body was found. Still, no one has been arrested. Sources tell ABC the investigators have been in contact with multiple people they believe were involved in the case in some capacity. Okay, so they have been, apparently, allegedly, according to ABC News. Investigators have been in contact with multiple people they believe were involved in the case in some capacity. Those investigators tell ABC News they are certain they are going down the right path for a suspect. Celeste Rivas Hernandez was reported missing early 2024. She ran away a few times and returned before her last runaway in April 2024, according to the Riverside County Sheriff's Office. She reportedly called home at the end of May 2024, but hasn't been heard from since. Authorities discovered her body September 8th. Officers went to investigate a foul odor. Police located the body inside a bag. So the fourth source here that's saying it was inside a bag. The body was dismembered. Again, they're sticking with the dismembered. This is ABC. And in a state of decomposition. The vehicle was registered to a 20-year-old singer, David Anthony Burke. He released his debut album earlier this year and often creates TikToks. Sources with knowledge of the investigation say David is not cooperating now with the investigation and has never cooperated, despite what his PR reps have claimed. Okay, look. Sources with knowledge of the investigation told ABC7.com. David is not cooperating with the investigation and never has cooperated, despite what his PR reps have claimed. He was on tour when the body was discovered in his car. The remainder of the tour was pretty much abruptly canceled. The exact cause of death is still undetermined because the body was so badly decomposed, but investigators believe it was a murder that occurred earlier this year. Sources say that conclusion could come soon, the cause of death, a step that will be critical in making an arrest. Sources say lab tests and toxicology reports will hopefully answer how she died. But until then, it remains a death investigation and not a homicide investigation. Good to know. David made some changes to the ownership of one of his Texas houses last month. Eyewitness News learned. Records show, or I guess 2 months ago, records show he transferred his Cypress home located in the Houston area to his mother's name on September 23rd. Officials say deputies were called to the Houston area home where David's parents live in September, but that turned out to be a fake swatting call. In mid-September, detectives executed a search warrant at a Hollywood Hills home where David had been staying. Investigators were seen taking evidence, including a computer, from the home. According to the LA Times, the lease on the home had been broken early and David had moved out. Now, I did see some other reports a few days ago that he's missing. I don't know if that's true or not. Let me see what else I have here. He's never been cooperative, contradicted, law enforcement. So we have another source here. This is the NBC News saying that law enforcement sources confirmed that the remains were not intact. Okay, so now it's not showing up. Okay, this one was, I thought that's what it said. Again, I mean, we have to leave basically in 1 minute to go to BJ Investigates premiere. And I want to point out too, Fox News LA, Rolling Stone, and the New York Post also reached out for a comment to the LAPD. And the people who they talked to at the LAPD, again, New York Post, The Guardian, or New York Post, Fox LA, and Rolling Stone, they were not able to get independent confirmation from the LAPD of this stuff. Like, they called and were like, hey, we're reading in TMZ that David is a suspect. Can you confirm that? And the LAPD was like, no, we cannot confirm that. So they didn't say, no, he's not, but they just kind of refused to confirm. Now, could that mean that perhaps some of them have a special inside source with the LAPD willing to talk and some of them don't? Sure. That's what that could mean. But again, I do want to be very, very, very clear. David has not even been officially named as a suspect. And so for me, I would like to see more evidence before personally, deciding on, just deciding somebody's guilty of something so heinous and so horrible. If you found this to be helpful and useful, please do donate to the legal fund. Thanks so much, Tina Marie, for the $10 super chat. You are so gifted. # God's favorite. I do wish I had another 45 minutes or so, but unfortunately, I have run right up into out of time. Please do stay remaining where you are right now if you're in the live stream, and you'll be redirected along with me, over to a brand new investigation into a truly sinister, evil, despicable, and deplorable person, if allegations are true. Howard Howie Rubin, the Soros financier who was locking and handcuffing Playboy models up in a self-proclaimed dungeon. Okay, he was locking them up and cuffing them to, quote, the cross. So I'll see you over there. That's all I really had for this one. Meantime, facts ain't defamation. Neither are opinions. I don't know these people. I wasn't there. Love you, mean it. Okay, bye.